What's up? The last time we talked about right hand technique, we went over holding the pick and thinking about where the movement is coming from. So today we're going to look at how we can use these different movements to influence the way we play and put some of these techniques to use. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about the directions that we can pick. And really there's only two of them. We can down pick or we can up pick, right? And knowing this, we can plan out some of the things that we play by strategically choosing which direction we pick for any given phrase. So here, check this out. We're gonna just get into a little bit some of the techniques that we can use, like alternate picking. Alternate picking is just down, up, down, up. It's what, like when they say tremolo picking, that's what tremolo picking really is. It's just alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up. We can use that alternate picking. We can play I'm gonna use the minor pentatonic scale as an example here of how we might really use that. So you can alternate pick. Turn my volume up. But either way, so really getting into that, when you're playing something, since we're talking about planning stuff out, since we're playing the minor pentatonic scale, and really we'll just use the three strings right in the middle there first to kind of get used to doing this a little bit. But we can choose which directions we pick and the reasons. We can come up with reasons why we might want to do it this way. So with our right hand, when we're alternate picking, we've got 2 notes per string and we're ascending. We're going up. It's usually best, or I've found anyway, it's easier to do that if you start with an up pick. So we do an up and then a down is our second note on that string, and then we're ready to go to the next string. And the cool thing about doing it like this, when we go up, down, is it pushes your pick down to where it's already ready to go, to the next string. Whereas if we go down, up, and then try and move, it's both ways are valid and good, and try them both, figure out which one works better for you, right? But the thing here is that picking, in order to get to the next string, we have to do something in order to get the pick out of the way, So when you go down, up, down, up, down, up, maybe you will turn your wrist, so that way when you pick and you go down, up, you can see the pick is actually above the strings right now. It's not, in between, where you might, be hitting the other strings while you're trying to pick. But that's the reason why I, if I'm going up, I tend to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because it kind of encourages the pick to already be where I need it to be, But, but, and the same for going down, we'd do the opposite. We'd start with a down pick and then an up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that would be alternate picking, right? An alternate picking across strings, doing a 2 note per string thing. What if we're doing a 3 note per string? The major scale. That was actually quite hard because I'm not used to doing it like that. And the reason why, so alternate picking works wonders, when you have an even number of notes on each string that you're going to play. If you're playing through something like that, you can up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and do all that kind of stuff, and it works out really well. But when you get to odd numbers, like 3-note per string, major scale shape, like I I was so focused on my left hand, I started doing it the way that I'm about to show you, instead of alternating. But you can alternate. That's cool. But one thing to keep in mind when you do that is when you alternate pick through 3-note per string kind of things like that, you're going to be switching the way that you go to the next string every time. So here we've got down, up, 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 and it's like, really, if you do this and you like chunk it, you break it up into smaller parts, it becomes a lot easier to deal with, because then you can just say, okay, 1, 2, kind of thing, and sort of break it into smaller pieces. Just like when you're learning anything, you break it into smaller pieces, and then you put those pieces together, and the stuff works. That being said, whenever I have an odd number, and I'm playing through something like that, so like the major scale, 3-note per string, I tend to economy pick it, or use directional picking. So like the way I look at it, I can pick down, up, down, and then my next string is the in the same direction that I'm picking. So I can just say down, up, down, 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 and it works out really well. The thing to keep in mind with the directional picking, though, is if you're used to alternate picking all the time, it's different. It's you can't just go back and forth and and like it doesn't work the same way. You've got to look at this as like a per string kind of thing, and then you get that, and then it makes sense, and everything comes together just like with everything else. But the way that I look at it that works for me is I think of it as where the motion is coming from, from the last video where we were talking about that. So like here it's down, up, with the wrist, because I usually pick either by rotating my wrist or by kind of just the up and down kind of motion most of the time. That's what's comfortable for me. You like Yngwie, when he does this kind of stuff, you can, if you watch him, his thumb and finger are like going crazy all the time, because he's always picking with his thumb and finger. Anyway, when I'm playing through this, I would pick down, up, with my wrist, and then down. My third down is with my elbow. It's the whole arm. That way, I move my hand down, and it's ready to go down, up from the wrist, down, down, up from the wrist, down, down, up from the wrist, down. I'm going straight, directly onto the next string. And really, just like what I did there is a good way to practice this. Pick down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, and then you'd be able to really go through that real fast, real smooth. It looks really cool when it's like you can't even like follow the pick, and it's really interesting to watch, but it also lets you play really fluidly, really fast, real smooth, you know, and it sounds great because there's not a lot of like, you know, accidental, you know, from trying to get the alternate picking to go and not whack the other strings and that kind of stuff. You know, in addition to the economy picking, you know, like 3 note per strings like that, you can use it for stuff like the pentatonic scale, you know, and this really is getting a little more into left hand stuff, but it's just another way. Actually, we'll come back to that. We're going to go to sweeping first and then putting economy and sweeping together, because really economy is sort of like alternate and then a little sweep, right? So sweeping, you know, is basically just that you pick usually one or maybe like, well, you tend to pick one or maybe 2 notes on a string, you know, and you're moving. It's all coming out of the elbow. If you try sweeping with your wrist is going to get real tired because you're going to have to be moving it a lot more than, you know, if you are just alternate picking. So this is a whole arm kind of deal. You know, maybe, I'm not going to say that with all certainty. Maybe if you know, work on just sweeping with your wrist, it'll work out, but as with everything, it's all comfort, you know, what works for you. But we're going to, so like, you know, a little E minor kind of arpeggio thing right there. You know, sweeping, we might go down, 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 up to finish that, you know, or, you know, and that's all it is. It's just going nice and smooth. You know, don't try to think about like your fingers and your wrist and that kind of shit, you know. Excuse me. You know, don't worry about thinking about like your fingers and your wrist, you know, or any of that stuff. You know, this is coming from the elbow, the sweeping. And that's really one of the big things, you know, like all of this stuff, you know, practice it and think about each little thing, you know, but then once you have thought about each little thing, you don't need to keep thinking about that stuff. You know, you've thought about it, you've put the thought into it, you have like figured out what works. So let it work, you know. Let your hands work for you. So we got, you know, and that's all the whole thing, you know, it's whew, man. I had to practice that a little bit, I guess. I don't generally do a lot of sweeping, but it's good to know, you know. But so that's sweeping, you know. It's all out of the elbow, which is where the economy picking comes in, as far as being, you know, one part alternate, one part sweep. You know, where were we gonna go with that? Economy picking, yeah, 3 notes, three. So with a pentatonic scale, you can economy pick the pentatonic scale. You just have to change up the pattern to do it. You know, and this is something to definitely keep in mind with anything. You know, there's some stuff where you're gonna try playing it and it's gonna be like, what the heck? Like I can't get this. You know, all the notes that you play with your left hand, you don't have to play them only in one place. Like with a B major, you know, you can play a B major right here, or you know, you can play a B major, you know, anywhere around there, anywhere that you have the notes, you know, that are the same as whatever you're trying to play. If you can find them somewhere else, then you can play whatever you were playing there, and it might work out differently. You know, like even just changing one note with this B major here. You know, we can play it, or You know, and it essentially it sounds the same, you know. But getting back to the pentatonic thing, so like we're playing through like E minor pentatonic, we can do this really cool sort of thing where we alternate between using three notes and one note on each string. You know, but you gotta know the other shapes to like really get this and make it make sense. But you know, the right hand really is the thing that we're focusing on here, because this is gonna work out to be like alternate, you know, down up, and then sweep down 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 up down 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 up down down. You know, it'd be like I think I just played the wrong thing. I did. There we go. Hey, hey. But you know, that's some different kind of ways that we can pick. What if you want to play something and like skip a string? You know, like you're playing your E minor arpeggio, but instead of playing it here, you're playing it here. You know, you can do it like I was doing it there, and you can just alternate pick it. You know, and jump across that string. It'll take, so like if you're gonna jump across a string like that, you know, you might do down up down, do do do, and then when you go to jump, you know, when you go to go over that string, just kind of tilt, you know, your hand a little bit, or like bring your thumb up or something, get the pick out of the way, you know. You know, you can even just pick your wrist up a little bit. But there's another way that you can do this too. You know, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that you have three fingers on your right hand that you're not using, but you can use them. You know, that's hybrid picking. You know, when you like, you know, that kind of thing, using those fingers to play notes. So like with the E minor arpeggio, maybe I'll do down, up, hybrid, down, up, down, up, down. And this actually works out really well for me too, because I don't have to alternate and skip over the stuff like that. It's actually lends itself to combining the like economy, you know, the directional picking, and you know, just by hybrid picking that one note. So if I go down, up, hybrid pick, right? I've got plenty of time between here and here to get my hand up to pick that note. You know, there's no way that I can, like, you know, it's, you know, there's plenty of time. But the other thing that it does for me, in addition to letting me have a little bit of extra time to move my hand down to play that note right there, is that when I do, I go down, up, and I'm already heading back towards the next note. You know, this is Marshall Harrison actually has a whole series about this. It's called he calls it swybrid picking. You know, it's just combining economy picking and hybrid picking. You know, like sweeping and hybrid essentially. You know, together to maximize the efficiency of your right hand, and it's really cool stuff. You know, but it's, I mean, really, it's just multiple techniques, you know, put together. Just really like any playing that you do is So let's see, hybrid picking. Yeah, that's it. You know. But it's with this, with hybrid picking, check out my hand. My hand isn't doing this, that's all coming straight out of the fingers. Because if you try and use your hand, to do the hybrid picking, then your pick, your thumb and your index finger is going to go with it too. And you don't need to, like, worry about trying to get all this stuff, and put it where it needs to be if you can just, use the fingers individually. The same way with your left hand, you use each finger individually, to make all this stuff work. And, just like with all of the stuff that I've showed you, you can practice all of these things to make yourself a well-rounded player, but find what is most comfortable in it and excel in it, The very last thing that I'm going to talk about that you can do with your right hand is tapping, which is exactly like hammering on. You just use your right hand, as opposed to. And so, like, with hammering on, or I'm sorry, with tapping, you treat it the same way that you would treat a hammer on. When you hammer on, you don't just go, like, if you're doing a hammer on and pull off kind of thing, you don't just go like, straight on and then straight off. You get a little bit of pull. So with your right hand, the way I do that is kind of, as opposed to coming like straight on, parallel with the fretboard, get a little bit of angle on it, just like when you pick. Get a little bit of angle on it, and then you can see how I'm hammering on and then pulling it off. You give it a little bit of a bend, that way when you release, it snaps back into place and it still makes noise. And you can kind of do this like away from you or towards you, or with your finger, as opposed to using your wrist to tap. If you want to get like really good, this is something that I would definitely recommend using your fingers more for, because your fingers are more dexterous and they are more accurate than your wrist for this. Just like when you're playing with your left hand, you use your fingers to play the notes. You don't use your hand, But yeah, tapping, bam, that's it, all I'm doing is fretting the note with my right hand. But yeah, I think that'll cover everything for today. I know that was a long one today, but in the next video, we're going to start on left hand technique. We're going to start getting into that stuff. So thank you for watching, and if this video helped you, like it and subscribe for more music-y stuff.